Welcome back to another episode. I'm here today with Terry Sweeney. Terry is not just an old client of mine, but is also a really good friend. I have quite a lot of love for this man. So I'm quite grateful that he's here today. He's going to talk us through his journey through getting sober and building his business and beautiful family, all while developing a killer physique and becoming a fitness enthusiast. So I'm really looking forward to diving into that. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe, that you turn on the notification button, leave a like and a comment. I'm Julian Solite, and this is The Way of the World. Welcome. Thank you for coming, bro.
Good to be here, Julian.
So, obviously, I think our history goes back to quite a few years back. I think we started doing sessions together when you were just only a few weeks sober, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think I was, it was either a few weeks or it was definitely within the first 3 months anyway. And I was using all that angst and all that energy and all those sleepless nights to just get into the gym and just put it somewhere, you know? And that was when I came to you. I noticed you had a killer physique and I thought, you know what, I'm going for a killer physique now. So this is the man to speak to.
How did that switch happen that you went from, obviously, finding that willpower to get sober and then getting into fitness with that?
I think the way that I saw fitness, I was basically, when I was drinking badly, I was still doing fitness, I was still going to the gym, with my idea being that the lifestyle which I'd created through being a daily heavy drinker, and the lifestyle I was trying to create with health, they were like two natural enemies, and one will conquer the other. That was my thought. These two things can't coexist, and one thing will beat the other thing. And thankfully, it did, and it went my way, and health kind of.
So it was a conscious decision then?
Yeah, because I tried to give up drinking for about 3 or 4 years before I actually managed, maybe even more. I knew that I couldn't carry on. And I was just sort of waiting for that day that I would actually manage to do it. Because I literally was for weeks after weeks after weeks, it was like, right, I'm going to try and stop next week. I'm going to try and stop next week. I'm going to try and stop next month. I'm going to try and stop next month. And that cycle went on for 3 to 5 years. I knew a long time before that I had a bad problem with it, but it wasn't until later on in life, in my adult life, and I had children at this point, I was like, right, I've really got to manage somehow,
Well, what would you say, was there a turning point?
There was quite a few bad injuries as well that I had along the way, quite a few humiliations. If anyone's a real drinker, a proper drinker, they'll probably be able to resonate with what I'm saying. There'll be a few horror stories that they'll have in their mind, One of the last things, the last few months, I'd woken up. My wife and my kids were staying at her mum's place, and I'd woken up with my front door open with the key in, and I was just face down on the front step. And I'd woken up a week later where I tried to climb into where my wife was at her mum's because she was staying there sometimes on Saturday nights, and that was when I'd end up going mad for it. And I'd try and climb up into my son's bunk bed, and I ended up flying across the room, and I woke up in the morning with blood all over me. I'd hit some chest of drawers and all kinds of little incidents where I just thought, this cannot go on, as well as having sort of no memory of things, So really quite a bad case of it, I guess, quite a serious case of it. And as I was saying, I was a daily drinker, and say 10 to 15 pints of beer a day, most days. In fact, every day. For well over 10 years, 10 to 15 years, I'd say. If I had sort of 10 beers in one day, in my mind, I'd be thinking to myself, well done, you've had a really good day, Wow. And then there'd be other days it'd be closer to the 20 sort of point. Wow. And those would be the days where I would be more, where the memory might be a bit sketchy, or I might be a little bit wobbly on my legs. But my tolerance was so high at this point, I could have 10 pints and then go and talk to you or something, and you wouldn't know. You wouldn't even know I'd had a drink.
So you were still fairly functional.
Yeah, I was functioning with hiccups. I was like functioning, and then I'd have a little bit where for 48 hours where it was unable to function. So I would say that you talk about like a functioning and a non-functioning alcoholic. I would say that I was somewhere in between the two of them, to be honest with you. Yeah.
You had good days and bad days kind of thing.
Yeah. I used to think it was kind of like, it was like I used to go through waves of it, like as a pyramid, in that I would drink heavy, and then I would find the feeling of depression, really, and the bad hangover and the illness so bad that I would have to, I couldn't just have like a low day. So if I drank 20 days, if I drank 20 pints, I'd have to drink 17, 15, 12 to get me back down to 10. Follow what I mean? Where I could stay there for a while, otherwise my body is rattling.
Was that calculated, or was that just
conscious as well?
Yeah,
because my body wouldn't. The physical effects on my body, rattling at night, like shaking, heart murmurs, body jumping like a fish. You know, you're asleep and it wakes you up. Sweating, all kinds of horrible stuff. You know, like this can be a kind of a scary place to be when you're in the thick of it. You know, but as I say, I needed something. I needed a way out of it.
Because you were into fitness even, before you actually got sober, right?
Yeah, because when I was young, when I was in my late teens and my early 20s, I was always fit, I was healthy, I didn't drink, funnily enough. I used to go to the pub with my friends and they were all drinking, and I'd just have an orange juice, or if I did have a drink, I'd have like 2 halves of Guinness. And I remember my dad saying to me, "Oh, he's really good this one, he wouldn't have a drink, he doesn't really drink, it's a good thing." Because my dad used to like a drink, but he had a cap on it. And he used to say it's good. And then finally, by the time I got to 25, I was really bad. And then by the time I got to about 38, 39 was when I managed to stop. You know, and I'm 44 now, so it's a way back.
Wow.
So it was a long period of time as well.
So how did it start?
I think it boiled down to going through depression. I think a lot of young men go through depression, anxiety, not really knowing where you're going, not really having a plan, not really having a knowledge of how to execute a plan, not having a good support network. I can't say that I didn't have good people around me, because I do have good people around me, but maybe not understood.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's always our perception on things anyway,
Yeah.
You might have the best people around you, but if the way that you feel about your environment is set, then that's the way you're going to feel, in a good and a bad way as well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think a part of it was starting then was just a coping mechanism, definitely a coping mechanism, which became a crux, which became a dependency, which is, alcoholism is a progressive illness. If you're a problem drinker and you think to yourself, I'll just drink at weekends, or I'll just lay off it this month or whatever, that might work for you for a while, but it's not going to last. It's going to get bad again, really bad, because it's a progressive illness. It's not going to get better, and it's not going to go away. I made the decision that I'm never going to drink again. But that decision comes with absolutely no regrets. I'm overjoyed by it. It feels great. Never felt this good. I didn't do Alcoholics Anonymous or anything like that. I did go there and try it out, but I realized it wasn't for me. That wasn't the way that I wanted to do it.
Why wasn't it for you?
I didn't like sitting there in front of people telling them about all my problems and how I was feeling. Didn't want to do it. So I want to give up drinking, and I'm going to give up drinking. Because I love my children, I love my wife, I love my life, and I'm going to give up drinking. I'm going to become my best version, and I'm going to implement that with healthy eating. I'm going to implement that with being a responsible man. I'm going to implement that with training my arse off. Not just training my arse off. Really committing, going in full. The foot forward, down on the gas, no brakes. Let's go for it, and it's worked.
Yeah, because obviously we met you were only a few weeks sober, and I don't remember you talking about like wanting to get back into it, or even having any kind of incident with it or hiccup along the way, not even once. And I just think after having such, having had such strong addiction, to be able to just find the strength to just stop it, I think that it's just incredible. So what I'm really interested in is, like, where was that, switch? How did that happen? Where did you find it?
I think, as I said, that week where, so I don't know if I told you, but it's a couple of those incidents happened in that very same week where I fell off that bed and where I'd left the key. And it was a few months before where I'd had a bad accident where I fell sort of like in this pothole and twisted up my leg and everything. I
remember that, yeah.
And also I remembered I was on a WhatsApp group as well with like parents from my kids' school, and I was pissed in a pub, and someone said something that I didn't like or something. I can't remember what it was, but in my pissed mind at the moment, it pissed me off, and I was just like just telling people, kind of just being an abusive idiot on a WhatsApp. Not overly abusive, because I'll say one thing about my drinking: I wasn't really an abusive drinker. I wasn't really someone who'd cause any trouble or be nasty to my wife or anything like that. Or my kids. I'm not really that kind of guy. It's not in my heart. I'm not a horrible person. I've never been a horrible person. But I would just sort of like just drink to excess. But I remember, on the WhatsApp group, I put a couple of things down or something. I can't remember what caused it. I laugh now, but I don't think it's funny, But that was also a little bit of a catalyst. There was a few things that happened in a quick succession that I just said, right, it stops now. It stops. And I remember the day I stopped drinking, I didn't stop drinking. I was so drunk, right? I said, I'm going to stop drinking. And then I said, but I can't stop drinking tomorrow because my body is I don't want to go into a seizure. I don't want to have a heart attack. I don't want to, I'm going to have one day, I'm going to drink out of it. I'm going to ease out of it. And then the next day, that's it. I'm never going to touch it again. And I never did.
Wow.
But as I say, I don't think giving up drinking happened overnight. I think it happened over the years. Yeah. It happened over the years of my mind being, I'm going to quit, fail, going to quit, I'm going to fail, going to quit, fail, going to quit, fail. And then somewhere in that, I was like, I'm not going to fail anymore. So it's like the years of battle. And I was like, right, I'm not going to fail now. This is it. This is the one. Then I developed myself to being a responsible person, which I think was all I always was in my heart. I felt like I've always been a responsible person. I've always felt like I've been a good person in my heart. But for some reason, this took hold of me. So, and then I found that person that I sort of knew I was, I'm a good husband, I'm a good father, or at least I aspire to be. I think I am. It's not really for me to say, I suppose.
Oh, you definitely are, bro.
Thank you. I try to be a role model for my kids, teach them how to look after themselves and look after their friends, and just be a good two young boys. And I want them to become stand-up guys, with their right principles. So family values, I believe in all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like the reason why you got sober was very much connected to how the alcoholism was, even if just indirectly, affecting your relationship with your kids. So it does make sense that obviously that was a big driving force for you to not just get sober, but also become more of the person and the parent that you wanted to be.
Yeah, and also my parents as well, and my family. I think over the years I've been becoming sort of developing a sense of shame as well. A little bit of a sense of shame and a little bit of regret, resentment, a shame, all that sort of thing. Stuff that a young man shouldn't be focusing on. Like you're doing amazing things with your business right now. That's what you should be focusing on. I should be focusing on going forward, doing good stuff. Which is what I've done since. But if your mind is in the bog, worrying about all these negative emotions and things like that, you can never make good things happen for yourself. You can try to create some beauty out of these sorts of moments. I suppose you have art. A lot of people you find you have art, so you can manifest something from it. Hopefully,
because you write poetry, right? So.
Yeah, I do.
Do you still do? Oh.
Not so much anymore because I'm with the guitar more now. But yeah, I'm probably written about 150 to 200 poems when I was feeling the way that I was feeling, which I can't really tell you why I did.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean that's the beauty, that you were talking about.
Yeah.
That you managed to pull out from, from the painful situation you were in.
I think it's a good thing that I had that. I think that was like an important outlet for me, just to
Yeah.
write.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably part of, when you look back, these were part of. There was obviously it was cathartic, but this is part of recovering and part of healing, probably.
Yeah.
Like I said, because the stopping for me, I believe, was kind of a process.
Yeah.
And maybe that was quite likely part of that process,
How do you feel now when you reread? Do you reread the
Not often,
poems?
because I've got them into 2 books, innit? I've got the better ones that I wrote into these 2 books. What I would do is I would write this poem that would be really take so much from me internally, gut-wrenchingly, like make me sad, and I'd write this down, and I'd feel kind of like punched in the stomach of what it would do to me. So I'd write then something really jovial and light and funny, try to make it funny. So I kind of had this like yin and yang style of poetry coming up, rising up together. And then when I just had all this material, I just thought, what, we're going to put them into books. So I got this one called The Juggler, which is all the serious stuff, and then I got the other one, Dirty Rotten Poems, which is all the all the other stuff which I wrote. Because it would literally be like write one that kind of kicked me in the stomach, and then okay, I can't stay there too long, and then write something. So they kind of rose up together.
That's really interesting.
With no intention of them being in books, of course. I was just writing
At the time, of course,
on bits of paper, on phone notes, and then I ended up going into like. Because I was drinking, I was living in Islington, and I was going to this pub, Filthy McNasty's, and I was drinking with all these like bohemians, all these types, trilby hats and everything. You'd end up going out on a Friday night and then crawling back home like late on a Sunday or something, where you'd just be going. You thought you were going to the pub for 2 drinks, and you'd end up in someone's house or down these bars, and. These guys were all performers, all musicians, all poets, all these styles of people. And then they got me, they said, you should come to some of our gigs. And then I started doing like performance poetry, spoken word, and all that sort of stuff through when all this was going on.
And how was that?
Yeah, I did well. I was quite like well received by the audience. And then I got into some like comedy clubs and that. Ended up doing Saturday night comedy club gigs, always drunk, but they didn't know that.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, it was it's an experience. Everything in life is an experience.
For sure.
I have literally no regrets. I don't look back on. I don't look back on my past with regrets. Lessons learned.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I've taken some difficult lessons away, which I can help my kids avoid, then I'm pleased. I've took one for the team, and then I can help them.
Yeah.
If it's made me strong for something else I'm going to face later on in my life, then that's good. If it makes me strong for what I face now, then that's good. I meet a lot of people who are casual drinkers, right? They're just drinking on the weekends all the time, and the drink that they have on the weekends is making them eat some burgers. And these guys or girls, they're never getting there. They're never always getting what they want out of life, because it's kind of holding them back. If I hadn't have been an alcoholic, I wouldn't be a non-drinker. So I'm glad about that, because now I'll never touch it. And now I know that I don't touch it, I'll be able to get money in my bank, health. I might have damaged my health, but do you know what I mean? To do health.
I actually think you're quite healthy, all considered.
Yeah, I've done some tests, and it seems that the human body is miraculous.
Yeah,
the human body is miraculous. But I meet people that when I was in them, spending a lot of time in pubs, you meet people that were drinking, and they were still sort of like 7. This is not saying to people to carry on drinking, but
no, of course,
they're in their 70s, and for some reason they can, what you might read on an NHS document or some doctor is not necessarily true. I think the body can handle. You shouldn't abuse it. You definitely shouldn't abuse it.
Yeah, of course.
But I think it can handle quite a lot. It will get to a point. You would get to a point that it would just say, "No, I can't take it anymore." I think with the people that drink really, really, really badly, like me back then, you just die. Or what happens is as you get older, your body won't allow you to take it or something. So you naturally kind of slow it down, is what I'd say they do. So when you meet them people in their 60s and 70s that are still in the pub every single day drinking, they're doing exactly what they were always doing, but they've probably taken 30% of the volume out, over the years, because their bladder can't hold it, their stomach starts to not accept it. They've had their lot and they can't carry on. Although then you get them people then start taking the whiskey as well.
So going back to the fitness side of things, do you feel like the addiction that you had for alcohol was because we find that people that have a bit of a more of an addictive personality, I don't know if you necessarily relate to that or if you would call yourself as someone that has an addictive personality, but we have the tendency to get a bit more obsessed with things, and to an extent, if you can use that obsession in a constructive way, then do you feel like you kind of channel that level of obsession that you had for the addiction onto perhaps fitness that was something a bit more constructive?
Yeah, there's definitely some of that. That although, to be honest with you, I wish I was more obsessed with fitness. The more you can give to it, the more it's going to give you back. I find that their fitness is such a good outlet as well.
I think what's interesting is that you were into fitness before you got sober, and you also quite clearly made a decision to get clean and sober before you kind of developed that obsession with fitness. But do you feel like fitness helped you through the journey of getting sober, or do you think the two things are disconnected?
No, it 100% helped me through the journey of being sober. 100% helped me. Better than anything else could have, really, in a way. Because it was, one, an outlet, two, something I could do with my time. It consumed my energy. It puts you at peace, doesn't it, a little bit? It's therapeutic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you have a really good workout, you have a little moment in your life there where your chi is good or something. You're on the top of the mountain looking over the lakes. Just for a little moment there, it is good for you. It's good for your soul. It's good for your head. So it's definitely played a part. It's taking something which is completely negative and horrible and replacing it with something which is the complete polar opposite. And that's why, even though I'm not replacing them like for like, but I'm, instead of spending my time there, I'm spending my time in the quagmire. I'm spending my time there in the clouds.
Yeah.
And like I said before, they're natural enemies. That's what I say. One of them would beat the other one, and it did. That was my theory. The two can't coexist. They don't live together, And one destroyed the other one. I say it's not a complete replacement, but they just don't live well together.
Oh, for sure.
If you do, because I was trying to live. We did coexist. We did coexist. We did coexist for a while, with there being a little bit of a battle going on. And then obviously the more that you drink, the worse that your training is.
Because obviously fitness is still a big part of your life now. I feel like things are definitely a lot more balanced with your business and family and fitness than perhaps than they were before. I think before there was a bit more of a compensation that needed to happen in order for you to help you with the process. Yeah. But how are you finding a balance between everything and still, giving fitness its time and and the effort that is needed?
Like everything in life, it's never going to be smooth running.
Yeah.
It's never going to be smooth running. You just got to do your very best. What I mean.
So it's a non-negotiable, and now it just gets done.
It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
It's just like brushing your teeth in the morning.
Yeah.
This is what I said to someone recently as well. I said, if I win the lottery tomorrow, I'm going to go to the gym. If my mum dies tomorrow, I'm going to go to the gym. That's a horrible thing, but the point of the fact I'm trying to make is, if I win the lottery tomorrow, I'm going to brush my teeth. If my mum dies tomorrow, I'm going to brush my teeth. It's becoming, as you say, it's a non-negotiable. It's just what I do. This way, I'm not going to be reliant on my mood. Not going to be reliant on motivation. It's just something which I do. As fitness is the gift that keeps on giving. It really is. It does. It gives you so much, and especially I'm 44 years old now, so I'm at an age now where I'm swimming against the waterfall, if you like. And what I mean by that is, as soon as I stop paddling my hardest, I'm going backwards fast. So I've got for me, this is my only thing I've been given that I can fight back against getting older, aches and pains, and trying to stay kind of young, I guess.
Mm.
Especially when I've got the young children coming up to me, and I want to be a fun dad with energy, and I want to make up maybe for a few years where I wasn't there for them as well. So I owe that to them.
So as a final question, if you were to go back in time and speak to your younger self, is there anything that you'd like to say to him?
Yeah, I would like to say always listen to your inner voice, because I think a lot of my problems earlier on in life stemmed from allowing other people to guide me, to tell me where my ship was going to sail, not having enough self-belief and not having enough, not backing myself enough to say. Because what I found in life is whenever I've really followed and listened to my heart correctly, I've always been right. And I think that everyone will always be right, because your heart is what really knows where to guide you, always. If we have a lot of instinct, we have a lot of things internally that's going on that we can't put our finger on, but they'll talk to us if we're prepared to listen. And I feel that the right answers are always within us.
That's beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. Cheers.
If you're new to the channel, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification and the whole lot. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Here's a little poem I wrote called The Juggler. I'm a worn-out juggler in the circus known as life. I've got my money in my left hand and my work life in my right. My marriage is up in the air. I can't afford to drop a ball. I'm nervous that if one goes down, I'm going to spill them all. Sometimes I juggle on the tightrope whilst dressed up as a clown. I don't know how I got up there. I just try not to look down. I feel the slab of fear slide over the lumpness in my throat. I want to give up juggling and make the balls all float. So perhaps I'll learn some magic tricks and make the balls all disappear and tap on hats with little black sticks in another stratosphere. But for now I'll just keep on juggling, because there's not much else that I can do. And perhaps I won't drop any balls as I continue to improve. Thank you.